Welcome to Heritage Museum of Montgomery County Video History Project. Our funding is provided by the Montgomery County Community Foundation. And my guest today is Mr. Jesse Powell. How are you doing, Mr. Powell?
I'm alive.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Mr. Powell, were you born in Montgomery County?
No, I was not born here. I came here in 1943 when I was 10 years old.
Okay. What county? Do you remember what county you were born in?
Oh, yes. I was born in Deshae County, Arkansas. I was born in a cotton shack in the middle of a cotton field on the banks of the Arkansas River, 4 miles from where the Arkansas River flows into the Mississippi. You have the Arkansas River, you had the levee, and on the other side of the levee you had these farms. That's where I was born, 1933.
So you were 10 years old when you came to Montgomery County. So when you came to Montgomery County, where did you live in Montgomery County?
Well, the war was on, and when the war broke out, the war broke out in 1939. For the history people don't know that, but anyhow, I was 5 years old, living in a little community in Missouri. My dad was a blacksmith. He had left the farm in Arkansas, and we was living there. And then when the war broke out, we moved to Little Rock. He worked in the defense plant. And before the war broke out, before Pearl Harbor was bombed, we was living in North Little Rock, and he worked in the defense plant. And later we moved to Oklahoma. And then in 1943, he came to Conroe to work on the airport out here. That was a Navy airport being built by the U.S. Navy, and he came down here to work on that. And after that project was completed, he went to work in Houston in the shipyards, and he worked there until the war was over. And in the meantime, we lived in Conroe. I lived about, I say 2 blocks on South Main from downtown. Conroe at that time probably didn't have 4,000 people. And if you come out Fraser Street, time you got say O'Reilly's out there, the AutoZone parts, that was the country then. It was all country. And but anyhow, that's how I came to Conroe.
So when you came to Conroe, you was 10. Do you remember what school you went to? Elementary school when you first started?
I passed the school this morning. Matter of fact, I told her, I said, I said, that's where I went to the 6th grade over there. There's old Sam Houston School. It was built, I think, in 1937. You know, the oil field came in 1932, 33 in Conroe, and the people had a lot of money then. They started building these schools. So they built Sam Houston, and then later built Travis. So they built, Sam Houston was only 5 years old when I got here, and I was in the 5th grade. And so I went to 5th and 6th grade at Sam Houston, and then I went over across the tracks to Travis Junior High. Now, I went through junior high there, and then the old Conroe High School up there on Thompson Street. I went there and graduated in 1951.
Okay, so 1951, the old Conroe High School. So once you tell us a little bit about growing up in the neighborhood and when you was a young kid in school, going through school, and some of your friends, or something you remember special?
Well, the thing that stands out in my mind about Conroe, different. Like I say, I was living in North Little Rock when Pearl Harbor was bombed. Mm-hmm. In Little Rock, there was a camp that's still there called Camp Robinson. A lot of people today don't even know where Douglas MacArthur was. But Douglas MacArthur was a famous military figure in World War II. Well, his father had been a general in the Civil War, Arthur MacArthur. And Douglas MacArthur was born at Camp Robinson in Little Rock, Arkansas. So when the war broke out, Pearl Harbor was bombed. I was later in North Little Rock, and consequently, everything was about MacArthur. You saw soldiers all around. Every place you went, you saw soldiers. You got on the train, people traveled by train then too. You see the soldiers sitting in the trains. So that was the situation. The war was all around me. Matter of fact, I could take you to the place today and show you where I was standing when I heard. I was only 8 years old. I could tell you the spot today where I was standing when I heard about Pearl Harbor. So anyhow, after that, we went ahead and moved to McAllister, Oklahoma. Well, here again, working in the defense plant. Matter of fact, these defense plants I'm talking to, the one in Little Rock and Jacksonville, it's still there today. They're still making ammunition to send over, I guess, to Ukraine. And as I understand, the ammunition plant in McAllister, Oklahoma is still there today. But anyway, for some reason, my daddy decided to go from Little Rock to working at a defense plant in McAllister, Oklahoma. Well, here again, I get there, and lo and behold, there's a POW camp right outside McAllister. They had about 5,000 German soldiers. People don't know what I'm talking about. In the north, the first campaign that we fought in World War II in Europe was in North Africa. And we fought a German march, a field march called Rommel. And Rommel had what they call the Afrikaner Corps over there. Mm-hmm. So we went over there, and that was Eisenhower. He was head of that up. Went over there in North Africa and defeated Rommel with the help of the British. We defeated Rommel, but anyhow, all these prisoners that we took in, they sent them over there to Oklahoma. I bet you there was 5,000 POWs, German, young German soldiers, from the Afrikaner Corps in North Africa. They shipped over here. And the reason I know that is because I can remember downtown McAllister, seeing these young German soldiers, POWs working there on the city project. And I remember one of them, looking down there, I'm only about 8 or 9 years old, and this young German, you know, he's blonde, heavy, sad, he looked up there and he could say beer in English. But anyhow, so we went ahead and lived there, and then for some reason, I guess my dad had he moved.
So y'all came to Conroe. And so you went through Conroe, you graduated from, was it Conroe High School or was it Travis High School?
No, I went ahead, I went to Sam Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I came here in the 5th grade. I went to 5th and 6th grade in Sam Houston. At 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, I went to Travis, and then over here on high school on Thompson Street, and I graduated from there in 1951. And then from 1951, I went over to Texas A&M.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I was there for 1 year, and I decided to change my major. And when I decided my major, what I wanted to major in, they didn't have it at A&M at the time. It was law school. So I transferred from A&M to Baylor, and because they had a law school up there. So I went up there for 2 years. And so after my 3rd year, at that time, you had to serve 2 years in the service. And the military will let you stay in school until you got out, and then you had to do your 2 years. You had to do your 2 years someplace or other. So in the meantime, I'm completing my 3rd year at Baylor, and I ran into this old boy. Now if you got drafted, you had to go for 2 years. If you joined the Army, you had to go for 3 years. Well, so you know, you just wait and get drafted. I told this old boy, he said, yeah. He said, I'm going to go do my 2 years. I said, how can you do your 2 years? You have to do 3 years. He said, no. He said, you go down and tell your draft board you won't be drafted. They'll draft you. So I said, if they draft you, you go for 2. If you join, you go for 3. So I decided, you know, I've been 3 years. I knew I was going to have to do 2 now there. But also, at that time, they had what they call the Korean bill, like the GI Bill. Mm-hmm. If you go in the service, come back, and then you go to college on the government. So I was getting ready to go to law school. So I had 3 years getting ready to go to law school, 1st year of law school. So I said, well, I'm going to just go ahead. It's a business decision. I said, I'm going to go ahead and do my 2 years, come out, and then go back and go to law school on the government's tab. So I went down to the draft board in Conroe. I knew the guy. His wife was a teacher there. And I told him, I said, I want to go ahead and volunteer for the draft. He said, good, when do you want to go? So that's what I did. I volunteered for the draft, spent 2 years, and I really had a good good. I'm glad. Looking back, I'm glad I went to the military because I served in Germany for a year and I came back and I had a real good experience.
So once you came back, what did you do once you came out of the military?
Well, when I got back, in the meantime, I'm at Fort Meade, Maryland. I've been in the Army about 6 months. I get called down to the battalion headquarters one day, and now I'm just a buck private. Why in the hell I'm going down to battalion headquarters for? I must be in trouble. I go down there, and there's a little PFC. He probably had an arm about 6 months longer than me. I could tell he was a draftee too. But he had some authority. Cause I walk in there, I thought I was in trouble, and the little PFC looked at me. He said, "How would you like to go overseas?" I looked at him. "Why would you be asking me? You'd be telling me." I looked at him. I said, "Well, that sounds pretty good." He said, "I'll tell you what I can do." So he said what he can do for me. PFC. If he'd been a lieutenant or a captain, I would have looked at him more serious. But he says, "I said, I'll tell you what I can do for you. He can do for me." He said, "I can either send you to Korea or to Germany." I looked at him. It took me about a split second. This is 1954. This is 54. So I said, I'll tell you what, I think I'll take Germany. He wrote down there, "Germany it is." I get ready to get up to leave. He said, "Oh, by the way." He said, "Would you like to leave?" I said, "Well, why not? I'll tell you what here again, what he can do for me." He said, "I'll tell you what I can do for you." She said, "I can give you 15-day leave." I says, "Oh, good." Now, the reason I tell you this because that leave played an important role in my life. So I come home on leave for 15 days. Well, I date this girl. I dated her for a week before I went in the Army. I came home. And I dated for another week. So I dated this girl for 2 weeks.
It was in 1854?
We get married. So I get married on election day. This past election day, I've been married 71 years.
What's her name? What's your wife's name?
Her maiden name was Sandra Owen.
Okay, Sandra.
Sandra Owen, yeah. Her father owned the newspaper here.
Okay.
He owned the Conroe Courier for years, back in the 50s and 60s. But anyhow, I dated that girl for 2 weeks. So she said, one night she said, "Why don't we be engaged while you're gone, and when you get back we get married?" I said, "Well, that's okay. I don't mind being engaged. I've never been engaged before." So. and keep in mind, I never thought about marrying a girl, much less being engaged, even though I was getting around. But anyhow.
But y'all been married 70 years, so you
Well,
got
what happened though?
Yeah.
She set me up.
She set you up?
Yeah. Because on one night I was going to be engaged. Well, that was on Monday. I'm leaving that Saturday. I'm leaving. I'm leaving, going to Newark, New Jersey, and I'm shipping out on a troop ship going to Germany. So anyhow, that's fine. I'll be engaged to you. What the hell? It doesn't cost anything to be engaged, does it?
No, it don't.
Anyhow, but she was ahead of me. So the next night, I dated her again the next night. And she said, "Yeah, I've been thinking." She said, "Instead of being engaged," she said, "why don't we go ahead and get married?" He said, "I can really make plans then." Getting married. That's a horse of a different color. I never thought about marrying any girl in my life. And I had dated quite a few by that time. So anyhow, I knew I met her mother. And I told her I didn't make a good impression with her mother when I met her. And I didn't have a sterling reputation. I've been known to get in a little trouble here and there. Matter of fact, you'll probably never talk to somebody else in Montgomery County, past or present, that's been in the Montgomery County Jail 2 times. Well, I've been there. Go up to the courthouse now. They call it the 5th story up there where the jail was.
Oh, downtown? The courthouse?
Downtown.
Uh-huh.
And up there they call it, they had a name for it, High Five.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the name of the jail. High Five. Well, I've only been there once. I've been there 2 times for fighting, getting in fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, I knew I didn't make a good impression with her mother. My reputation wasn't sterling. And I told her, I said, you need to talk to your mother before we go too far here. Because I figured her mother, you know, she'd put the hammer down. There ain't no way you're gonna marry that guy, you know. So anyhow, her mother crossed me up. Yeah, she told her mama. First thing she went home and told her daddy, he said, I want to get married. And his dad, he loved to read the paper and watch TV. He was an easygoing guy, never got upset in his life. I don't think he looked up from the newspaper. he told her, said, well, you need to talk to your mother. Well, his mother at that time was up in Missouri visiting her mother. So it took a day or two before he came back home. But anyhow, she told her mother what she wanted to do. And lo and behold, her mother said, fine, if you want to marry that boy, you go ahead and marry him. So we get married, and I get married on election day. That was on a Tuesday, and then 5 days later, I left. Went down to Hobby, caught an airplane, flew to near New Jersey. I got on a trip ship in New York Harbor, and I spent 10 days going across the Atlantic, the North Atlantic, and it was cold. That old ship going up and down, up and down. But anyhow, I was out there for 10 years, and we landed in Bremerhaven, Germany, and then of course I was in Germany for a year. And then when I came back, I served my time in the Army, came back and went to college and got my degree. But by that time, I was burnt out, going to school and all that. I wanted to go to work. So I went back to Baylor and got my degree. And then after I got my degree, I went to work for her father. So I went in the newspaper business for 15 years.
That's here in Conroe, right?
In Conroe.
What was the
I was in Conroe, but later, I lived in Tomball for about 15 years. I owned the newspaper and the movie. I was in the movie theater business too.
Okay.
Which was a great business. But anyhow, that's my story up to then.
Okay. So once you came, so you came back the military, and you came back and you started working in the newspaper industry. You said you did 15 years. So after you did that, what did you do? Did you, okay, first, you and your wife, when did y'all have y'all first child? I know you got 2 kids, right?
Oh yeah, we had a child.
How many kids do you have?
Well, that's interesting. My wife wanted 4 children. It didn't matter to me. You know, 4, 5, what the hell? You know, I'm not into that. So yeah, she told me when I got married, she said, "Oh, I'd like to have 4 children." Fine. So as soon as I got back from Germany and I got home on leave, she admitted I wanted to get pregnant. So yeah, and she got pregnant and had my first daughter, who lives in San Antonio. And then 18 months later, we want to have children together, you know. These are all planned pregnancies, no accidents. We were shooting for 4. And so we had the daughter, and then 18 months later, we had a little boy. And he works with us at the funeral home.
Okay.
And then after that, though, things didn't turn out too well. My wife, as it turned out, she didn't know it. She had what you call RX negative blood.
Oh, Rh negative, yeah.
Yeah. And I know when she was pregnant with my daughter, she spotted a lot, but she didn't know. And when she found out, she was real upset with her mother, because you get this through your mother's side. And her mother didn't know she had it.
Wow.
Her mother had 3 children. Her mother, she really got upset, and her mother told us, I didn't know I had it. But anyhow, what happened there was that she started having miscarriages. So she had 3 miscarriages. All over in Old Tomball Hospital on First Street.
The hospital on First Street in Conroe used to be Tomball?
No, we was living in Tomball.
Oh, you live in Tomball, okay.
But we came over there. We was using this hospital over because she had Conroe doctor.
Okay, okay.
So anyhow, she gets over there, she ends up with three miscarriages.
Oh, I'm
So that was the end of that. So 7, 8 years go by, but she's still going those 4 children. So a few years passed by, and she came up with the idea. She said, since I can't have any children, why don't we adopt? I said, okay, that sounds good. But I told her, I said, if we're going to adopt one, we'll adopt 2. And we'll adopt so the little first child we get, we'll have somebody to grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we'll space them out till 18 months apart. It was all planned.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to Houston to adoption place, a home of St. Mark's down there. And we tell them what they want. And of course, that's their business. And they look at you and they investigate you. At that time, I'm in the newspaper business. I'm living in Tomball. And I'm in the newspaper and theater business. So anyhow, make a long story short, they approved us to adopt a child. So there's my first one right there. Yeah. Beautiful child. I never will forget, she came in this world laughing. The happiest girl. And I remember I had a bit of rocking chair, and my mother dressed her up, had a little white shoes, baby shoes. And I just put her in the rocking chair, and she'd stand up, and oh my God. And then later on, I got her a little rocking horse and put her on the rocking horse, and she'd rock that around. I had a little baby blanket I put on the head of the little wooden horse, and she'd go up and down until she went to sleep. Well, that was fine. So the game plan was get her a playmate. So later on, we went back to home St. Mark's and got her a little sister, her name. And we picked out these names, like Stephanie and Jennifer. These are old names, but we want a beautiful name for these children. So yeah, we get her little sister. And this is a very unusual thing here. Now I had a 3-bedroom house in Tomball, but when I adopted these children, I had to build another house. So I went ahead, and the house is still over there today. You go over there and look at it. Big colonial house, 5 bedrooms. So I said, we'll get everybody. I had my 2 older children, I had these 4. So I said, all each one of them will have a bedroom upstairs. I have 4 bedrooms upstairs and a master bedroom downstairs. Well, we get started, we get 2 baby beds and put both of them in the same room together. So on each side of the room, they're sleeping together. Well, come along Jennifer, this is the young one, we had the bedroom over here, but she never did want to move in there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because even though she had her own bedroom, she never would go into the other bedroom. They started out sharing the bedroom together, and they went ahead and shared the bedroom together all through high school together. Even though I always had a bedroom for Jennifer, everybody had their own bedroom, they always slept in the same room together. They go off to college. She goes off first, and later when Jennifer got out, they end up at San Marcos together. Mm-hmm. And over there they rent an apartment, and what do? They still share a bedroom. So, and this is what is so unusual. They have always shared a bedroom together when they've grown up together, and they've never had an argument. Never. These 2 little girls was raised up together, and they never had an argument. I don't think you ever had to you today, have you? Yeah. So I'll bring that up because I always thought that was unusual that they went through life sharing the bedroom together just like that. Even today, last night, her sister lives in the Woodlands. So they go down there yesterday. She and her daughter comes in. Her daughter's going to A&M now. Mm-hmm. She comes in for A&M, and they go down and spend the day with her sister in the Woodlands, and they end up spending the night. So she had come up here this morning for the woodland, so it's all going.
Mr. Powell, after you finished your newspaper business, well, what did you do after that? I think you, I know you said you was a newspaper and you was in the movie theater, so what did you do after that?
Well, I got on a newspaper business because I was burnt out. After a while, running a newspaper. Running a newspaper, you're gonna make half the people happy for what you print. You're gonna make half the people angry for what you don't print. So you can't win. So after about 12 years in Tomball running that newspaper, I got burnt out with it. I told my wife, I said, I gotta get out of here. I don't care. Now the theater business is different. I love it. I've been in about, I bet you I've been in 20 different businesses in my life. And the theater business was my favorite business. You're part of the entertainment business. You really are. I didn't know that until I got in it. But anyhow, I ran the theater and I sold the newspaper and
Was it all in Tomball when you were in Tomball?
I was in Tomball.
Okay.
And then I decided after I sold the newspaper, I decided to move back to Conroe.
Do you remember what year that was when you moved back to Conroe?
I didn't. Well, by that time I'd done real well in Tomball. I'd made some good real estate investments.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I made more money in the real estate business than I have in other things. But anyhow, I stayed over there and I decided to move back to Conroe. And so sold my theater and I sold my newspaper, got out of it and came back to Conroe. And I didn't do anything for a few years. I did okay in Tomball financially. And anyhow, I got bored. I sat at home for about 2 years and I read a dictionary.
You
Now,
read the
if you want to
dictionary.
get educated,
Read the dictionary.
I love a dictionary. If you want to get educated, we had bought these encyclopedias back in the 50s, and there were 2 of them. And I had them by my easy chair where I sat,
Mm-hmm.
and for about 3 years, that's what I did. I loved to read the dictionary, and you get educated. You learn all about Greek mythology. You learn about the root words. You can just get educated. I recommend a dictionary for anybody that wants to take the time and really round out their education. But anyhow, I did that, and finally, I got bored, and I went into, there was a new business evolving around where you could import automotive body parts from Taiwan. It's called aftermarket body parts.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just starting out. And I had a guy tell me about it. So I decided to go in that business. And I got my son and my son-in-law
Mm-hmm.
to go into it. And we went over there to San Antonio and opened our warehouse in San Antonio, and we're opened our warehouse in Austin, Texas. And then we was able to import these body parts from Taiwan. We
You
came
said
in-
body parts? Auto?
The automotive.
Automotive, okay.
That's very important.
Okay,
Automotive.
Okay, automotive body parts, okay.
But it's what you call aftermarket.
Oh,
Called the
aftermarket.
aftermarket parts.
Okay.
OEM, you hear the term OEM?
Mm-hmm.
OEM is parts that you buy from a car dealer.
Oh, okay.
Now the big difference was, there's a big difference between the OEM parts that you buy at the dealerships and the aftermarket parts that we were selling. And I'll give you an illustration. One of the big sellers then was a Chevrolet hood, pickup hoods and fenders and bumpers. We could sell a Chevrolet pickup fender for $60, where the OEM part was about $200. Needless to say, I found out Chevrolet, they talk about Ford being the #1 seller in Texas. as far as I'm concerned, Chevrolet was the number one because we couldn't keep the Chevrolet fenders and hoods in stock, whereas Ford was a different story. But anyhow, I started out in that business. I was in there for them, my son and my son-in-law for a few years. Then I got out. Then I came back home. I had an apartment in San Antonio, running back and forth, and I got tired of all that. So anyhow, they ended up, I let them have the business, and I came back to Conroe here again, sitting around. I got bored, and what can I do? Well, when I lived in Tomball, I was real close friends with the family over there, the Kleins. Klein Funeral Home. It's got the oldest funeral home in Harris County. They've been over there since 1922. I got to know those boys over there that was running that funeral home, and I knew, business-wise, that the funeral business was a hell of a good business to be into. Now, not everybody's in the funeral business. Not everybody can handle death. Not everybody can handle grieving family. I didn't know how I could handle it. I knew it'd be a good business to go into, but I didn't know how I would react to being around grieving family. And so anyhow, I decided to go ahead and take a shot at it. So I knew nothing about the funeral business. And it's the odd thing about it, in Texas, you can own a funeral home and you don't have to be licensed. But if you're going to be a funeral director and do the funerals, you got to be licensed. So I can own a funeral home, but I can't make funeral arrangements. I just have a funeral director to do that. So anyhow, I'm able to go out here, and at that time, I had a friend in the real estate business, and I told him, I said, you know, I keep thinking about the funeral business. I said, I think I'd like to get into it, even though I don't know anything about it. And I said, I don't know how I'll be around dead people or grieving people. Well, I said, I guess I'll find that out. He said, well, if you're interested in getting the funeral business, he said, I've got the property for you. Oh? Well, 8 blocks down from where I live is the old St. James Episcopal Church. Well, the people of the Episcopal Church, they had moved out on Highway 105, Lake Conroe. That's where the growth was. So that building, the church and the building where they had the classrooms were for sale. So I went down there and looked at it. I fell in love with the old church. It's a beautiful old church steeple and all that. I thought to myself, that should make a good, they probably had 1,000 funerals in there as a church. So I said, well, I'm sure it would make a good funeral home, a chapel for funerals. So I bought it, and I went in there and renovated it and converted it into a funeral home. And I've been there, I think, 31 years.
Wow.
So, and that's what I'm still doing now. I'm still working every day.
So you work every day?
Oh yeah, I'm down there about 7 o'clock. Yep.
In the AM?
AM.
So okay. Wow. So you've been a busy man throughout your life, and your stories you're telling are really enlightening and interesting. I'm really enjoying listening to your story. And so you hadn't decided, you're not thinking about any other businesses, are you? Are you gonna retire with this funeral business, or are you just gonna? Have you thought about any other business you would like to do or take upon?
Well, my wife says I've been there too long. But I really think one reason I'm still alive is that I've been busy. I think you have to have a reason to get up in the morning. And my reason to get up in the morning, I got a business to run. So I'm up. Like I say, I'm down there by 7 o'clock. And my wife said, why do you get up so early? But anyhow, I've got working because I think that's good for me. Maybe not for somebody else. But no, if I get out of the funeral business, my wife wouldn't let me do anything else. She said I've been working too long. So
do you do any traveling though? Do y'all travel? Take any vacations? Are you going anywhere?
Well, we've done some traveling. I've been my favorite spot was Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii several times. we on my 50th anniversary, she wanted to go someplace. So I said, okay, we're gonna go someplace, we're gonna do it right. So we'd never been on a cruise in our life. So I booked a cruise that started out in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So we flew down to San Juan, Puerto Rico, got on this big cruise ship, and all the way down to the Leland Islands. There was a island down there, but anyhow, they take you all the way down there and you come back on a hop. So we did that, stopped at 5 different islands there, St. Thomas, Martinique, and all that. And we did that on our 50th anniversary. But undoubtedly, we've never been on a cruise since then. I don't think because at the cruise we went on, we did it right. I had my own private suite, balcony overlooking the ocean, and so anyhow, I guess we got our belly full of the cruise. I only went on one. But no, we've done some traveling, and I let my wife do some traveling. I'm not that much of a traveler. I spent a year in Germany. They talk about going to Europe. People say, oh, we gotta go to Europe, Well, hell, I spent a year in Germany. I was in Munich, where they had a great place to deal out there on the outskirts of Munich, Germany. Colder than hell. You can't believe how those people live over there. It's so cold. So anyhow, I spent a year in Germany, and anybody talked to me about why you going to Europe, I said, I've been there. I spent a year over there. I don't have any desire to go back.
But you say you've been married 70 years?
71.
71 years, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a blessing right there.
But yeah, business-wise, I've been in a lot. I've been in so many different things. Started off in the strawberry business, been in the egg business. I've been in the restaurant business 3 different times. It's been one thing after the other.
But it keeps you busy and keeps your mind sharp.
Ma'am?
It keeps you busy and it keeps your mind sharp.
Well, I hope it has.
Yeah, it has.
I feel like, remember right, I think I'm in pretty good shape.
Well, I understand that you, for a couple of years, you was in the McGee Hotel, right in the Conroe Switch Railroad in that area. Tell us a little bit about that experience, about that, because I think you were still in high school, right?
I was.
Talk about that.
Well, after my sophomore year in high school, my family moved to Conroe, but I wanted to stay and play football. So what I did, my junior and senior year, I lived at McGee Hotel. That's a hotel, it's a furniture store now. It's across the street from the Jewel Ice Company. And anyhow, I lived there and graduated from high school so I could play football for Conroe. And then after that though, I went off to Texas A&M, and whenever I come back home, my family was gone. But my ties was to Conroe. So when even after I went to A&M, when I come home on weekends and stuff, I would stay at the hotel. So my first 2 years in high school, I lived there, and then after I went off to college, up until I got married. Matter of fact, when I came home leave from the Army, and I got married, I went to the McGee Hotel. Matter of fact, the lady there, Miss McGee, when I got married at my wife's house, and she came out there and she took me down there in her car, and she was more or less my best man at the rate. So I lived there from junior year until I got married on home on leave, and then all those years, yeah.
And so, exactly, do you remember where the McGee Hotel was located at downtown in the Conroe area?
It's located, they call it Metcalf now, at the corner of Pacific and Metcalf, at the corner there. It's a furniture store there now.
Okay.
What's the name of that furniture store?
Homestead?
Homestead is up there, yeah. But anyhow, there's a big furniture store there now, but that's where the McGee Hotel was located, where I lived there. And across the street you had the Jewel Ice Company. And I think still, you see the sign up there now, Jewel. That was the old ice house there. They made ice there. So.
Right on the corner. It was on the side. Okay, I do remember that. The ice house right there. That's where the Pacific Yard House, I think, is located.
Pacific,
now. Yeah.
and at that time it was, they changed the name. They got it for Metcalf, but when I lived there, they just changed it to Metcalf just a few years ago. But that's where the hotel was located.
Okay.
Wow. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. I'm gonna ask you a final question. What would you like to share with some future generations about the journey of the life that you've lived and the life, the things that you're going through? Can you share some kind of words of wisdom at the end of this video project to encourage other people who
For
may
the
be
young
listening
people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or for anyone, young or old, anyone.
I got two things to tell them.
Tell them.
If you want to live a good long life, wash your hands before you eat. It was 1939, this little country schoolhouse. I'm sitting in there, and the teacher passes this bar of soap around called Lifebuoy. I don't think they make it now. It was an oval shape, I could picture it today. It was an oval shape, pink, and Lifebuoy soap, and she passed it around to us, and I remember holding it in my hand. It had a really sanitizing smell to it. And she told us, she said, you always wash your hands before you eat. And show you how things should stay with you. I don't remember anything else in first grade, but I remember that. I remember the bar of soap. I remember looking at the soap. I remember smelling it. But it stuck with me. Anytime you, before you eat, if you can wash your hands, and certainly if you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands. So my advice to you is to always wash your hands before you eat. And the one other thing is stay busy. Stay busy. And that's what I've done. Have a reason to get up every morning, and that's what I've done.
Okay.
And I'm still kicking. Okay.
Well, thank you so very much for sharing your story and about your life and history, and we appreciate you so much. May God bless you, may God keep you in all that you do.
Okay, well, thank you. I
You're more
appreciate
than welcome.
visiting with you.
All right, I enjoyed it.
Okay.